Pirates fight for Old Southwestern, for alma mater dear. Pirates fight for Old Southwestern. To Southwestern will be loyal to the sun from the sky. And remember to the end that our fight will never die. Pirates fight, yeah we win, ayy. Pirates fight, to the end, whoa. Pirates fight, yeah we win, ayy. Pirates fight, yeah, to the end, whoa, to the end.
Western ICU Football Weekly here on the Vype Live Network. Week number 2. My name is Merle Bertrand, coming to you live tonight from the beautiful Georgetown Sheraton in Georgetown, Texas. Joined once again by head coach Joe Austin, Jack Farrell, our producer, Christina Weber, my better half, our QA tonight, keeping an eye and an ear on the broadcast. Sooner Vincott, our technical director. Chuck Tracy will be here with Tracy's Corner. Coming up tonight at the show, we'll hear from senior defensive end Jason Lund and junior running back Colby Bartlett. I want to thank our sponsors, including Antioch Georgetown, Baylor Scott and White Healthcare, Chapel Realty Group, Chisholm Trail Pediatrics, Don Hewlett Buick and Chevrolet, Double Dave's Pizza, Eagles Wings Home Improvement Services, First Texas Bank, and Gary Brown CPA. We do have a couple of special guests here. Mr. Chapel is here, along with Rita Healy, the general manager of the Georgetown Sheraton. So thank you to all of those folks. Thank you to the Sheraton for being such a great home for SU Football Weekly. And boy, I tell you what, the Pirates fall behind 38-7, Coach, early in the second half against Cal Lutheran in a game that started at 3 o'clock Texas time. At 5:33 p.m. Central Time, I received this text from our sideline reporter and longtime Pirate fan, Chuck Tracy. That's what I got from him. The reason I got that is Southwestern to close within 41-35. They were driving to the Cal Lutheran 23-yard line. An amazing comeback, but unfortunately an interception in the end zone sealed the Pirates' fate. But man, what a great comeback! What are your takeaways from a long afternoon of football out on the West Coast?
It's hard to travel. It's hard to stay hydrated, as we learned. It's hard to just do all the things that go with changing time zones twice.
Right.
But we're going to have to do this a lot, so we've got to learn from it. And I think we showed with the way we played the last 25 minutes of the game that we can have a pretty solid team this year, but not if we play like we did the first 35. So it was a rough start, like you said, getting down 38-7, and then in a weird way, this might have been the most fun I've ever had losing a game. I mean, our guys just did an amazing job in that comeback, and it came up 22 yards short, which is a bummer, but. I pulled them together at halftime, even before we left the field, because the setup, they give you a little hallway and you can't talk to the whole team. So we talked on the field, and I said, guys, this game's not over. We had just got done having 2 really fast drives, one we scored on, one we didn't. I knew we could play better on defense.
And then Damian comes in to close out the half. Halftime, Damian comes out, and all of a sudden he's like he's the Damian Gomez that we expected. He's moving the team down the field, and then he gets shaken up. Spriggs comes back in the game, cold off the bench, throws a touchdown pass on the next play. Damian comes back in the game and has them driving down the field again with a chance to win. I thought maybe Chuck or I could come in and finish out the game. But
it's not quite that easy, guys.
No, it's not. Man, it was just impressive. Talk about your mindset with the switches and how both of those guys responded throughout the course of the game.
That was our game plan. Jalen Spriggs is a very talented freshman who we gave a list of plays to master. Mm-hmm. And as you can tell, he did it.
Right.
He threw 2 touchdowns. He did really, really well. And whether we were ahead 21 or behind 21 or tied, he was going to come in the second quarter there. That was the plan. I wouldn't really say that Damian played any worse than anyone else on offense.
Right.
You know, he threw some catchable passes we didn't catch. We weren't blocking very well at times. Our offense just did not do well at the beginning, so that's not on Damian. And the fact that Jalen came in is no reflection on that. As you can see by the fact that we went right back to the game plan, and Damian played a really amazing second half, leading the 28-point comeback. And then when we needed Jalen, we'll see on the highlights, Damian took a late hit and got the wind knocked out of him. And Jalen came in and put the ball right on Colby's face, right on his face mask for a touchdown. So that's what it is. But it's so funny that was your first question, because we just talked about this in our team meeting. I said, guys, the quarterback position is the only position that anybody cares about, the position competition. Right. If it's 2 outside linebackers, nobody cares. So I said, just so everybody knows, Jalen was coming in the game. The offensive guys all knew, but maybe some of the defensive guys or the kickers didn't know. Jalen was going to come in and run the series that he worked on. And so we're going to do the same thing this week, because they've got a little bit different skill sets. The plays they're working on are a little bit different from a personnel standpoint and formation standpoint. And that expands what defenses have to account for. And we're just building that depth. And they're going to make each other better, because I think Jalen knows if he continues to play well, he'll have his opportunities to play. And Damian knows, okay, I got a guy that's pushing me. I'm going to play well all the time as well. So I think that competition is healthy. It's good. So there's no controversy.
Right.
Damian's our starting quarterback, and Jalen is a very talented young guy that we're not going to overwhelm. And so I know Teal, you'll watch this broadcast. So you're going to see which camera on. You're going to see both of them. And they're going to do different things, and hopefully that makes it tougher preparation for TLU.
Right. Well, that's why I wanted to bring it up. Like I said, I wasn't trying to stir anything up. I just thought it was impressive that both of those guys did as well as they did.
Really well at the few things we asked them to do. It was well executed.
And we like outside linebacker.
Their first drive, a nice pass defense on the corner out by Jamarcus Ross. And then the next clip we'll see they are going to be able to, but we'll take it, because the alternative to that would have been really bad. So we've got Cal Lutheran here up 7-0. We're still not even halfway through the first quarter. Very good run defense. They pitch to the boundary. A bunch of guys converge for another tackle for loss. That's what we can build on. Is we didn't play great pass defense in the first half, but if our run defense can stay this way, that's a really good thing to build upon. Third down here, a chance to get off the field. Unfortunately, we don't. We go for the interception again, and then we miss tackles again, and it turns into a 40-yard play. Aiden O'Connell, the corner on the opposite side of the field, runs it down and makes a tackle at the 14. I didn't put them all on here, but there were several plays like that in the first half where we compounded errors. We'd give up a completion, maybe go for the interception and miss it, and then we'd miss several tackles. And that ends with, this is the run to the right that I was thinking last time. So now it's 14-0. We're late in the first quarter, not a lot going for us on offense. We punt again. This is early in the second quarter. They get the ball back. They try to run the ball on early downs. And of course, they had very little success the whole day. Now we're in 3rd and long. We get them into a 3rd and 20, and we get into a situation where we can get them off the field. They've scored on 2 of their first 3 drives, and we get called for a face mask. Would have loved to see Alec tackle him low, wrap him up, but he takes him around the neck and gets his hand around onto the face mask, and that extends the drive. And the rough thing about football is those 15-yard penalties that extend drives, they usually end up changing the scoreboard also. And this is an unfortunate time where that was true. We're in 3rd and long again, and I can't tell you what we're doing here on the right side on defense other than sleeping. They're going to complete a slant pass. Our corner doesn't move. And then again, we miss tackles. We don't use our arms and wrap up, and they turn in for a touchdown. So this is looking pretty rough, and it felt pretty rough. I mean, there's not a whole lot right going for us in our pass defense so far. These are Jalen Spriggs' first 3 plays of his career. He has a little 8-yard run to get us going. And as we talked about, he was coming in at this point in the second quarter no matter what. We're down 21-0, but he was going to come in and do the things that we had planned for him to do. Then on the second play, he hits Caleb Tinney for Caleb's first career reception for about a 40-yard gain down the middle. That gets us to the 30. And then this becomes a 3-play, 75-yard scoring drive. On the next play, Jalen Spriggs is going to hit another freshman, Graydon Thompson, for his first touchdown of his career. Graydon scored twice, had over 155 yards, was voted by his teammates as the player of the game. So now we're 7 minutes left in the second quarter. Charlie Fournier, who was perfect on his extra points as always, was 5 for 5, is going to make the game 21-7. So we're thinking maybe we're going in the right direction. But unfortunately, we're not into the phase of the game where we're going to be playing really good defense yet. So this is Kalaloo's next possession. Mid down, second down play. Good defense again on the run. Blaine Corkin coming off the edge. Blaine's our weak side linebacker. That drive continues. Now we're going to pick it up. We're down in the red zone. This is where they got their last rushing touchdown of the game. Boy, if he got in, it was close. But of course, the officials on the goal line there have the better view. Looked from my vantage point that we held them out, but they gave the credit for the touchdown and now we're 28-7. This is our next possession now. We went right back with Jalen's package of plays. He comes out slinging it again, throws it to Graydon Thompson for a big first down. Across midfield over to the 40-yard line. Just a couple plays later, well, actually this is the next play. A cloud decided to come in. That's why the screen changed. A cloud appeared in California. So we're, after a penalty, which knocked us back to the 50, we're now in 2nd and long. Really nice throw to Graydon Thompson again, down to the 20. Here's the next play I'm talking about. We're in scoring range. We're in the red zone. We're going to make it 28-14, and we snap the ball over Jalen's head. He's not able to find it, and you know that's how our first half went. In 6 plays there, we went 145 yards, 150 yards in 6 plays. Things were going really well. Off of that turnover, they drove it down, but we're starting to stem the tide here. Pardon me, especially with our run defense, and so you're going to see our defense pull them out of the end zone. And then we're going to hold them to a field goal attempt. I believe that was their 3rd down play. They ran it a few times. Now this is going to be their 4th down play. And they're able to tack on this field goal. So we thought we'd be proud. You know, we felt like we're down to 20. Momentum-wise, we're going into halftime at 28-14. After that turnover, pardon me, we're going in 31-7. So we get the ball to open up the second half. Damien's back at quarterback. Again, nothing controversial about that. Nice run by Colby Bartlett on 3rd down for 12, 13 yards for the first down. That drive unfortunately stalls, and here's a block punt. Several issues with this. It was a slow and high snap, and our guards, our interior linemen on that, did not make the protection call that we needed to. So that's a totally avoidable play. A complex mistake that turns into a touchdown for Kowloon. So it's 38-7, barely 3 minutes into the second half. And from here on out, it's going to be all Pirates. Very little for Kowloon. This is our ensuing drive. This is Sam LeBleu knocking off a 10-yard run. We're going to see a couple more highlights with Sam. Sam gets a dozen there. Sam and Colby are a really good combination coming out of our backfield. Doing a really nice job as a 1-2 punch. Off play action, here's a screen pass to Sam Johnson, our true freshman who started at H-back. Sam had a couple catches, did some nice things in blocking, and had a couple nice receptions. So now we're down to 2nd and goal from the 5-yard line. A couple nice rushing touchdowns for Damien Gomez to finish off drives. This is going to be one of them. We're going to fake the sweep, run a little counter action. Anderson Johnson, our left tackle, pulled and just annihilated their defensive end. If you saw that helmet rolling, it's because he smacked that guy pretty hard and knocked his helmet off. You know, some special teams lowlights we've seen. This was a highlight. Watch the player on the far right, number 46, Liam Thalen, runs through the block, then runs through the ball carrier, gives Cal Lutheran a long field. They have to start at the 15-yard line. So there were a couple of bright spots on our special teams. Overall, it was not a good special teams game, which was a little surprising. I thought we played really well on special teams in our preseason game. We definitely have to do better. After a penalty, they're in 2nd and 15 now. They try to throw a little screen, a really nice reaction by our corner, Jamarcus Ross. That's going to be a no gain. That's going to put them in 3rd and 15. We're going to get off the field. They're punting from fairly deep. Our offense gets the ball pretty close to midfield. Here we pick it up. We've got the ball down to their 42-yard line already. It's 38-14 at this point. We run a little razzle-dazzle, a double reverse pass to Mitchell Garrett. They actually cover it pretty well, but they interfere with Mitchell, and he grabs it anyway. Just a great catch with the guy literally hanging on him, fouling him down to the 4-yard line. Gives us 1st and goal at the 4, and we're going to take it in on the next play. Damien's going to do it himself again. Take another sweep, run the counter to the backside. Damien's 2nd rushing touchdown in his main drives. Now it's 38-21. Here's Charlie to add the extra point. So pretty quickly we scored 14 points. And, you know, we're not in the game quite yet. We're not starting to go for 2-point conversions and chase things, but things are definitely going in our direction at 38-21. They get the ball back, and we start playing better pass defense because we've got a better pass rush was a big part of it. That's Marion Williams, Jack, who got the pass deflection. So we're getting pass rush. We got a couple sacks in the second half. Now we're into the 4th quarter. Early in the 4th quarter, we fake the run up the middle, and there's Colby Bartlett again with the 30-40 yard play from Damien. That gets us down close to scoring territory. 3rd and 10, trying to extend this drive. Really nice throw to the curl area to Coleman Robertson, who got his first start of his career at wide receiver. That gets us to 1st and goal inside the 10. I believe this is our first down play. And this is time Colby Bartlett's going to finish the drive. We did a great job in our red zone offense. We ran, every time we got inside the 10-yard line, we scored the next play. So we were very efficient in our red zone goal line offense. Some more motion here to get them moving defensively. Nice lead block by a freshman offensive lineman, Reed Robinson, and Colby takes it in for his first of 2 touchdowns. He'll score again. So 12:56 left in the 4th. The score is now 38-28, and there are some people getting a little bit nervous on the home side. And there's some folks that are getting pretty engaged on our side. We never lost engagement. You can't make a comeback like this if you lose engagement, but we're starting to really pick it up. Defense is back on the field, looking to get the ball back for the offense. And this was Kawalu's biggest play of the second half. The feet of Aiden O'Connell, our corner, got tangled up with their wide receiver. So it looked like Aiden fell down. It was just a weird thing. It wasn't pass interference on anyone. Their feet just got tangled, and that moved them down to field goal range. But the defense immediately stopped them. 4th and 8, we hold them to a field goal attempt from 41 yards. Their kicker is very good, but this one he misses wide right. So we dodged the bullet there. We gave up the post play, but we held the score right there. Again, things momentum-wise are really moving in our favor. So it's 38-28. Offense has the ball back. I think we're going to get a chance to see the clock here. There it is, 9:54, 10-point game, and the good guys have the ball. Unfortunately, the good guys had to punt. That's the only drive in the second half until the very end that we didn't score on. It was a 3 and out. Those things happened, but we got the punt off, flipped the field, gave Kawalu a long field. It's now 3rd down for them. Great pass rush by Jason Lund, which forces them to dump it off. And Micah Justice, senior outside linebacker, comes up and makes the stop. So as I said, our pass rush got going, and their quarterback was really good. He's a 3-star transfer from Ohio State. Doesn't belong in Division III football, but whatever. And there he is. So this is a play that is on there because you see Damien gets shaken up. He takes a late hit. We get the 15-yard penalty. So Jalen Spriggs comes off the bench. And the very next play, as I said, he hits Colby Bartlett right in the face mask. And Colby goes right down that hash mark. With 5:19 left, it is going to be 35-38 after Charlie adds the extra point. The other thing that didn't go well other than that post route was this kickoff coverage where we lost contain. As you can see, they're going to get the ball down the sideline on us. And they manhandled us on that one. That was not very good coverage. They've got the ball past midfield. So our defense has to slam the door and keep this thing to a 1-score game. So we're 3rd down, 3rd and 5. They have the ball at the 10-yard line. This is a really big play. And they scored on the same play in the first half where our defense hardly moved. This time Jamarcus moves. He undercuts a slant route and knocks it away, which holds them to a field goal attempt. It's a shorter field goal attempt. They've got a very solid kicker. And so he's going to make this one. And it's going to make the score 41-35. Because of the incompletion, we're able to keep one of our timeouts. So we're going to get the ball back with 2 minutes and 32 seconds and 1 timeout. They kick a touchback. This is our second play of the drive. Damian finds Graydon Thompson down the middle on a nice little double move pass. We're across midfield. We've had to use our timeout at this point. We're down to about 1.5 minutes. This is 4th down. We threw 3 incompletions. This is 4th in the game. So we've got to complete this. We hit Mitchell Garrett across the middle. Mitchell had a nice game, about 85, 90 yards, 14-yard gain. We keep the chains moving. Just a couple plays later, they're going to lose contain on their pass rush, and Damien's going to scramble for another 1st down. He's going to get out of bounds to stop the clock. There's about 45 seconds there. 29 seconds left. The clock is running now. This is 2nd down. And unfortunately, you're going to see 2 wide receivers standing next to each other. That is not the design of the play. And that was a mistake. And we brought an extra player to where the ball is going to be, and that extra player picked it off. And thus ends the rally. It's a tough way for it to end. It ended on a mistake. We had a wrong route. 2 players running the same route, taking extra defenders to where the ball is. But it was still, it was a really fun comeback. It was fun to see the energy. It was fun to see us really get on a roll and put a lot of good things together.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned about how the Cal Lutheran fans were starting to get a little nervous watching their broadcast. We talked about that a little bit last week. Their broadcasters are getting a little bit nervous. They could feel the momentum shifting. If you can feel that over watching a broadcast from half a country away, I can't imagine what the mood was like there in the sidelines for you guys.
Well, the mood was never bad because I think we knew we're a better football team than the way we played early on. And again, if we lost our engagement and lost that fire, that drive to compete, then we wouldn't have been able to put ourselves in that position to make a comeback.
Well, Cal Lutheran had 418 total yards, but 325 of that came in the first half. Southwestern defense allowed just 93 yards in the second half. If they don't stiffen up, that comeback never happens. That's something we didn't really talk about that much. But talk about what your defense did differently in the second half.
We played better. Tackled better.
Simple as that.
We saw the two slant routes.
Right.
They ran the same play. In the first half, our corner just watches the guy catch it. In the fourth quarter, he undercuts it and almost intercepts it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't explain that. I don't know. We played better. There's not a whole lot of coaching adjustments because we only have what's in our playbook.
Right.
We're running the things we prepared for that game. We're running the things in our playbook. We just played better in the second half. I did mention in the video, I thought it really helped, though, that our defensive line started to get more pass rush. I think we wore down their defensive line. I thought our conditioning for the first game of the season was pretty good, and I think that was something that played into our favor in the second half. I think we were the fresher team on both offense and defensive line.
Well, you said this. You've always said there's no such thing as a good loss, but you said this is the most fun you've ever had in terms of a loss. How important was it to fly back on the plane, having come back like that? Even though you came up just a little bit short, that's got to be a big difference in terms of confidence to come back after a close loss. You could have been blown up by 30 or 40 points, and that didn't happen.
Well, it's not fun now. It was fun at the time. The competition was fun. I mean, I love to compete,
right.
And I loved seeing our guys go out there compete too. So it was fun at the time. After the game, it goes back to, boy, we got to own that first half, and we got to make a lot of adjustments. We've got a lot of things to fix. So I guess it's hard to explain why I said what I said. It's just the fun of the competition.
And it's almost like there's no pressure at that point. Right?
Well, no, there's pressure, but the fun of the competition with the football players and then the coaches was really enjoyable, the way they competed.
Well, any final thoughts? It was a long trip out there, a long game, fun game to watch. But any final thoughts on Cal Lutheran?
We have to practice how to travel. We're going to be flying more. The hydration that it takes, the nutrition that it takes, we've got to get better at that, and I think we will. But it was a tough travel experience, and how we executed it. For a lot of those guys, it was their first time playing on a plane trip.
Right.
And our hydration level and some things in our preparation left a lot to be desired. And as long as we get better with that, we'll come out having learned a lot of lessons.
All right, so there you go. Week 1 is in the books. Cal Lutheran is behind us. We'll turn our attention to TLU later on in the show. But when we come back, we're going to hear from senior defensive end Jason Lund. That's coming back in quarter number 2. You're watching SU Football Weekly here on the Vype Live Network.
You are invited to the Pirate Football Pep Rally, Friday, September 8th, 7:30 p.m. at the football facility on campus. Meet the team, interact with student organizations and corporate partners, featuring performances by the Cheer and Pom Squad and Pep Band. Best of all, when you scan the QR code at the event, you'll be sent a free ticket for the next day's home opener against Texas Lutheran. See you on September 8th for the Pirate Pep Rally.
Here from Jack's Lounge inside the beautiful Georgetown Sheraton in Georgetown, Texas. I want to thank some more of our sponsors: John F. Lewis CPA, Mighty Fine Burgers, Fries, and Shakes, Minuteman Press, Primerica Financial Solutions, Rudy's Barbecue, and Schlotsky's of Georgetown. And we're joined now here in the second quarter by senior defensive end Jason Lund. Jason, introduce yourself, tell the folks where you're from and all that kind of stuff.
How's it going? I'm Jason Lund, senior defensive end for the Pirates. I'm originally from Georgia, but I moved out to Fort Worth and played high school football in Texas.
Now you played in, make sure I'm saying this right, it's Azle High School.
Yes, sir, that's it.
Everybody wants to say Azle, so it is Azle.
Yes,
what you said it's near Fort Worth?
Yes, a little north, about 20 minutes, Fort Worth, right next to Weatherford.
Well, talk about the big differences between coming. That's a fairly small area, very small school, if I'm remembering right.
Yes.
Talk about the difference between playing small school, high school football and playing college football.
Really, the big difference, small school, high school Texas football, it's a special environment. You got a lot of people who from different backgrounds, and that's the whole city. Everybody's looking forward to Friday night, and it's something I loved being a part of. I actually had the opportunity to win some district championships in high school, and it was great. And then comparing it to Georgetown, it's a completely different vibe. It's not Azle, Texas anymore. It's Georgetown. We're right next to Austin and San Marcos, and you've got everybody. And it almost feels like a tight community with the Southwestern community, but it's a very different feel.
Well, you got banged up late in Saturday's game. You doing okay?
Yes, I'm doing a lot better. It's,
you didn't look too happy on the
cramp.
sideline. I could see you in the background back there, so that's good to hear.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's good to go. So what attracted you to Southwestern coming all the way? You know, recruiting is such an interesting thing. It's easier, I think, with some of the high schools here in the Austin area to know about Southwestern. When you start to spread out across the state, I know the staff does a great job, but what brought you to Southwestern?
Really what brought me to Southwestern is the environment. I wanted to play college football at the higher level, and I had a teammate who went here, Peyton Vaughn, number 7 from last year, and that was one of my better friends. And when I had the opportunity to play football at Southwestern, I didn't look back. I took it upon myself because the best place for education and to play football at the higher level.
Well, talk about your experience a little bit now that you're a senior. You've had a few years under your belt. Talk about that experience in general here at Southwestern. Has it sort of matched up with your expectations, maybe even exceeded the expectations?
Originally when I came in, it was 2020. We were still dealing with a lot of COVID and masks, and it was a little rough. I think it was a growing time for a lot of people in the community, but I would like to say last year, my junior season, was probably the most fun I've ever had at Southwestern University. It's like the spark of community's coming back, and everybody's you can see everyone's face, and there's a sense of community in the air, and I really just love it. I'm really excited for this senior year, and already with this special group I have of my teammates, I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, I noticed that you're a member of the National Honor Society in high school. Talk about that challenge a little bit of balancing academics and playing high-level college sports. Talk about some of those challenges a little bit and how different that adjustment was.
It's tough. Southwestern is no joke. Definitely rigorous academically, and you just have to find that time. I try to get it done before practice, before weights, because come 9, 10 o'clock when I'm leaving practice, I have to think about eating and sleeping. You don't really have much time for books, so you try to get it in during the day, and any off days you can try to make up on readings. And great thing about Southwestern is it's very tight-knit, so my professors are typically very understanding. If I need to shoot them an email or let them know my situation, they'll usually help me out.
Okay, so the show is a confessional. What was it like on the plane flying out to California? Were people cracking the books, or were they goofing off playing video games?
No. Personally, I was still recovering from those cramps, so I was like locked into my plane seat, not having any kind of fun.
That is the worst feeling. Talk about the conditioning a little bit. I know it's a little bit cooler out in California than it is here, but having gone through that once, it's still early in the season. You guys are practicing at night. You're going to be 100 degrees when you kick off on Saturday night. Talk about the conditioning. How are you doing that, and how are the rest of the guys doing with that?
I think we've come into the camp fairly well conditioned. This is probably some of the most tempo runs I've ever done in my life during camp and season, but I'm trying to get more conditioning in since I know I'm going to be one of the guys typically not coming out of the field, off the field. So I've been taking care of that on my own, sort of going on for runs on my off days and hitting some sprints after practice. Well, I'd say collectively, I think we're doing pretty well as a unit.
Good. I noticed that you lettered as a wrestler in high school all 4 years, which is pretty impressive. 2 questions: do you do any wrestling here? Do they have wrestling at Southwestern? I forget if they do or not.
No wrestling.
I didn't think so. Okay,
level.
so I was saying that. I was like, no, I don't think they do. But more important question is, how much did wrestling help you as a football player, both in high school and now that you're moving up here in college?
Wrestling impacted me quite a bit for football. It's the only sport I can really think of where you constantly have to get back up. You always get taken down. You're forced to get up. You never stay on your back, and you always get back up. And it made me tougher. It made me more resilient, and definitely pushed my limits for sure.
Right.
Wrestling's the hardest thing you'll ever do. Football's just something to put company with it.
Well, the cramps aside, we'll forget about the cramps for a little bit, but putting those
I wish
aside,
I could forget.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on Saturday's game? How did the game unfold from your perspective?
Pulling from what Coach Austin said, that's probably the most optimistic I've ever felt about a loss in my life. I was telling my senior linebacker, Alec Gomez, that just the other day,
Right.
just today actually. Because first half, exactly like we saw in the highlights, it wasn't special. It wasn't very great. We were doing our stuff in the run game, but we were still having lapses in our focus, in our technique, and especially our tackling defensively. I try to just control what I do on my side of the sideline, but the way we rallied that second half just as a team, offensively, defensively, I thought it was something special. I've been a part of this team for 4 years now, and I don't think I've seen that same kind of fight we had as we did in that second half. So it's really something exciting looking forward to.
Right.
And I think if we can play football like we did the last 2 quarters, we're going to be a very tough team to deal with this year.
Well, you kind of led to the next question. And what are you hoping to improve on the most on Saturday, either individually or as a unit or both?
Individually, I sort of had 2 penalties. I think one was an accident, but before I cramped up, I sort of may have held the tight end a little bit. So that's I can definitely do that myself. But as a unit, I think we just need to tackle and be in the right spot, be where we're supposed to be.
Well, I may have asked you this when you were on the show last year, but you've had another year now. So what is your favorite memory as a student here at Southwestern, either on the field or off the field or even both?
I would have to say probably some of my favorite memories have been from this last camp we just had. We had a bunch of team building activities. We had a big pool party. We did Family Feud with my defensive coordinator as the host, Steve Harvey. So that was a favorite of mine. But probably my favorite thing was the talent show, getting to see all different sides of everybody from the team. Not many talented guys on the team, but there's a lot of fun individuals that I love to call my teammates.
Well, if you could go back in time, and I may have asked you this one last year as well, if you could go back in time, what would you tell yourself as a freshman coming in? Obviously, like you said, it was a weird time with COVID going on.
Right.
But, what would be the advice you would give your younger self?
Wow, I would have to say stick through it. I know I really wasn't a big fan when I really came in just because of all COVID, and I'm a very personable person. I was sort of struggling at that time, but just stick with it. It gets better, and keep working your techniques on football for sure.
Well, I noticed on the bio on the website that your favorite food is sushi. I didn't know that was even allowed on a football team. I thought it was all red meat, uncooked.
Oh, no.
Especially for the
man.
defensive guys.
No, the sushi's great for you. You got the protein, rice, carbs, vegetables. You got everything in there.
There you go. Smart guys here at Southwestern.
Oh, yes, sir.
He was ready for that one. What are your plans after graduation as your college career winds down here?
So as I'm finishing up my majors, I'm in my kinesiology capstone this year to get my degree in kinesiology, but I had enough credits finishing my minor last year, so I'm going to double major in business as well.
Oh, very cool.
And so I'm going to try to just take what I've learned and try to get with CCPD and find something out of Southwestern.
Very cool. Well, any shout-outs that you want to give, anybody that you want to thank for the 4 years here at Southwestern?
I'll shout out my defensive line, Death Row. Shout out my older brother, Jake Lund and Angel, on their birth of my nephew, Elijah Allen. I want to say congratulations to them. And sort of wanted to introduce my next guy coming out, Country McCaffrey. That's what I like to call him, Colby Bartlett. He's going to put people on notice this year. It's one of my favorite teammates I love going to work with. He's a tough guy, and he runs the ball like no other.
Very cool. Well, good luck. Hope you get feeling better throughout the week. Good luck this Saturday, and thanks for coming out tonight.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Go Pirates.
All right. Mr. Jason Lund, senior defensive end, our first guest here. Hang tight, and then we'll take a break here in just a second. When we come back, Chuck Tracy will take the helm for Tracy's Corner, and he'll speak with the aforementioned Colby Bartlett. That's coming up right after this break. You're watching SU Football Weekly here on Vype.
Sheraton Georgetown Austin Hotel and Conference Center. Joining me is Colby Bartlett. He's a junior running back here for the Southwestern University Pirates, and as the aforementioned or previous interview by Jason Lund, he mentioned a nickname, Country McCaffrey. What do you think about that?
I like it. I think it's got a good ring to it, you know. I like it. I like it.
So you played at in high school at Godley?
Yes, sir. Godley, Texas.
Is that in the country?
That is very much in the country.
Very much in the country.
Yes,
That's
sir.
near Fort Worth as well.
Around Fort Worth.
How close is it to Azle?
Let's see. We actually played Azle in baseball sometimes, so it's probably about 30, 45 minutes.
So you didn't play against Jason in high school, though?
No, sir. Not in football.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about the Cal-Lou game, and you know, maybe we'll come back to your nickname in a little while. You heard Coach Austin talk about the game. You heard your defensive player of the game talk about Saturday's game. What are your thoughts on Saturday's game?
Well, don't want to beat a dead horse here, but like Coach and Jason said, we can't come out in the first half like we did coming this Saturday. If we play in the second half like we did in the first half, you know, that's a completely different ball game. You know, we're probably coming out with the win. So I think we just got to come out fast. We got to execute our base stuff like we know we can.
So, despite the loss, how can you build on that rally towards the end of the game? You know, because really all cylinders were hitting offensively. The defense stepped up at that point. How can you build on that rally there?
Yes, sir. Now we've shown that we're never out of a game. No matter how far we're down, you know, after this game, we know that we're still in it. Doesn't matter the score. Doesn't matter what point in the game it is. We know we can come back from it. We know we can execute. We just got to do it earlier.
Okay, so you had stats-wise, you had 18 carries, 73 yards, 2 touchdowns on that one reception that Coach described hitting you in the face mask. How easy is it to catch a ball like that?
Oh man, that's perfect. Jalen put the ball exactly where he needed to, hit me in stride, and then it was parted like the Red Sea. Nobody in front of me. It was perfect.
Well, and speaking of stats, I did a little bit of looking into your background as much as I could. You know, I found out that I was interviewing sometime late this afternoon. You were a two-way player in high school. You had close to 4,000 yards offensively, 35 touchdowns in your high school career, and 180 tackles. We've seen evidence on TV of two-way players even at the collegiate level recently as this weekend. Do you miss playing defense?
Well, at the time, you know, coming in high school, I didn't enjoy defense as much as offense. You know, everybody wants to score touchdowns. That's the most fun. Sometimes I do look back and think, man, I wish I could go out there and, you know, get a sack, get a tackle for a loss.
In the heat of the moment?
Oh, yeah. But it sure is tough playing both ways.
So what did
always
you
on the
play
field.
defensively in high school?
I actually played middle linebacker for the
Okay.
most part. So captain the defense pretty
So
much.
you were the running back and the middle linebacker.
Yes,
That's
sir.
pretty impressive.
Yes, sir.
Do you plan on lobbying for any time defensively?
Well, if that's what the team needs, then I'll
So
do it.
so if coach approaches you and says, "Hey, we need you to play a little bit of outside linebacker or inside linebacker," you're up for the challenge.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Excellent. When I was doing research on you, I read an article in the Cleburne newspaper. It was related to your recruitment and signing here at Southwestern University. Your coach described your work ethic and preparation as, quote, a blueprint of how to work, how to maximize every bit of talent you've got. How does it feel to leave a legacy like that at Godley, where your coaches are praising you like that? And how do you continue that, or how have you continued that here at Southwestern?
Yes, sir. Well, first, got to give a shout out to Coach Lowry. I'm pretty sure that's the coach that made that
Yes,
quote.
Curtis Lowry.
Curtis Lowry, yes, sir. You know, I have nothing but respect for that man. He came into my program my junior year, and he really set the culture and instilled it into Godley. And it's always nice to be the building block that future generations can look back to. And it really has instilled in me how giving that work ethic and working hard like that is really just the bare minimum, especially at the collegiate level. If I said this in one of our team meetings, if you don't want to work hard, then you can just get out because we don't need you here.
Right. This isn't the place for you if you're not willing to put in the time and effort that all of the other teammates are doing.
Exactly.
So despite those great stats in high school and the obvious production you've given here at Southwestern, your recruiting process was a little bit slow, right?
Yes,
Now, you had several offers. What made you choose Southwestern over those other schools?
Right. Well, mainly was location. You know, it was either here or Hendricks, who we actually played this year, but I was not really wanting to go all the way to Arkansas.
Mhm.
So I decided to, you know, keep it in Texas, stay close to family. Georgetown is also just a great area. It's a small town, so it's similar to Godley in a way, and that's really what got me here is the academics and the location.
Now, do you have a chip on your shoulder as a result of that lack of recruitment?
Well, I wouldn't say a chip on my shoulder. I think I've kind of always played how I know I can play, and you know, with these guys around me, it makes it a lot easier to do that because I know I'm always going to have their support. So I wouldn't say it's a chip on the shoulder. I'd say it's just another motivating
It's
factor.
just going back to what Coach Lowry, your high school coach, said about your work ethic.
Yes,
You know,
sir.
that's just the way you roll, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, I noticed that you have a same major as Jason Lund, kinesiology. Your minor is in exercise and sports studies. So I always ask every player I interview about staying with the sport. Is that your plan? Is it to go into coaching?
Yes, sir. It's so not necessarily football coaching, but I do plan to be a strength coach. So after I graduate, hopefully get a graduate assistant spot somewhere so I can continue my career in being a collegiate strength and conditioning
I was going to
coach.
say at the collegiate level,
Yes,
because
sir.
at
That's
the high school level, you can be a strength coach, but you're also going to coach D-line or linebackers or something like
Yeah.
that as well. So in your past training and preparation for football, I noticed in an article that you had you trained with someone that would be somewhat famous in this area. Who's that?
That would be Jonathan Gray.
So how long have you known him? How do you know him? And how's that relationship?
Well, I first got in contact with Jonathan back. I had a old recruiting guy that I had. He worked with Jonathan before, and he kind of introduced me, made that connection for me. And I've been training with him since summer going into junior year of high school. So I've known him for a long time. He's a great guy. I respect him a lot. He just had a baby, actually. So he trains me every summer, every winter break. He's a great guy. I honestly wouldn't be where I am physically without him.
So yeah, and you could see that in the article because you were giving him credit as well. So let's talk a little bit about non-football related stuff. What does Colby Bartlett do in his spare time? What are your hobbies? When you have downtime, what is it that you're doing?
Usually, you know, guilty pleasure, just like to play video games in my free time. I play with my roommate, Demetrius Oko, who's a junior here as well. You know, we play Xbox all the time, just kind of hang out. It's always a nice brotherhood time to hop on with some teammates and just play some games and relax.
What games do you play the most?
Probably Call of Duty. It's probably the main one. Call of Duty, some NBA 2K, some kind of basic games, but they're always a lot of fun.
But you're not trying to bring offensive plays from Madden over to the offensive coaches, are you?
No.
Okay. Just want to make sure. And so is that just it? It's just, I'm going to relax, play a little video games. You got some favorite TV shows?
I actually do. Jason does as well. We watch a lot of anime, some Japanese TV shows.
Any particular show?
One Piece.
I was going to ask One
yes,
Piece
sir.
if that was it.
That's number one.
My children are really into the anime as
sir.
well. Okay, well, this question was mentioned to me after last week's interview, and it's one that's often asked to people in interviews, but I think it gives a little bit of insight into that person, their background, and personality. So if you were given the opportunity to have dinner with anyone famous or in the history of humanity, alive or currently or no longer with us, who would that be?
Well, I don't know how exactly famous this person is to everybody, but it's an author by the name of Tim Grover.
Mm-hmm.
He has written the book called Relentless and also Winning, and those are two of my favorite books of all time. It's a lot into sports psychology and sports psychology and how to have a dominating mindset, how to have a winning mindset. And I would love to sit down and just kind of pick his brain and because he's trained Michael Jordan, Dwayne Wade, Kobe Bryant, so some big names.
Excellent.
And learning from those guys' mentality would be an amazing experience.
And that really ties in to what you're wanting to do as a strength coach as well, because a lot of that strength conditioning and the building of strength, a lot of it's psychological.
Yep. Yes, sir.
So do you have any shout outs you want to give? I know you already shouted out your high school coach, but anyone else you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
First, I'd like to thank you all for giving me this opportunity to come out here. It's been a great experience, first time doing it. Of course, got to thank God, got to thank my family,
Amen.
And thank my girlfriend too. She was just down here, so thank all those people.
Does she attend Southwestern?
No, sir. She's at A&M.
Is your high school sweetheart?
Oh yeah, 8 years.
Awesome. Congratulations,
Thank you,
brother.
sir.
It was good talking to you, Colby. With Country McCaffrey, that's the
Yes, sir.
nickname. We'll be right back for quarter 4 with Merle Bertrand and Coach Austin here on SU Football Weekly at the Sheraton Georgetown Austin Hotel and Conference Center. Stay with us.
Remember to the end that a fight will never die. Pirates fight, yeah we win. Ay. Pirates fight, to the end. Whoa. Pirates fight, yeah.
You were invited to the Pirate Football Pep Rally, Friday, September 8th, 7:30 p.m. at the football facility on campus. Meet the team, interact with student organizations and corporate partners, featuring performances by the Cheer and Pom Squad and Pep Band. Best of all, when you scan the QR code at the event, you'll be sent a free ticket for the next day's home opener against Texas Lutheran. See you on September 8th for the Pirate Pep Rally.
Pirates fight for Osai.
And welcome back for our fourth and final quarter of SU Football Weekly here from the Georgetown Sheraton. And before we get into the final segment of the show, we want to thank one last group of sponsors here, including Bricks and Ale at the Sheraton, right over there. So they're taking good care of everybody that's come out here tonight and every week. Stephanie Featherstone with State Farm, Georgetown Shirt Company, HEB of Georgetown, House of Gains, Ross and Champion CPA, GTX Wealth, Jersey Mike Subs, and the League Kitchen and Tavern. Thank you to all those folks for supporting Pirates football here. So Coach Austin has joined me back up here on the stage, and Coach, from CLU to TLU, the Pirates' second and final non-conference game comes against an old SCAC and ASC rival in the Texas Lutheran Bulldogs. They also dropped their season opener 48-31 at number 21 Wisconsin Oshkosh on Saturday. You're pretty familiar with TLU's program by now, I would imagine, but have you had a chance to watch any tape on this year's edition of the Bulldogs?
Yes. So we traded game film on Sunday. We had it right when we both landed, and they played a very good football team in Wisconsin, Oshkosh. I think they're underrated at 21. There's so many good teams in the Wisconsin League that they never really get the due. I mean, that they need. There could be 5 or 6 sometimes in that league that should be in the top 15. It's a really, really good football league. And so we got to see them. They got to see us. So we'll have an equal amount of information. We each have one game worth of data.
Right. Well, it is just the one game against a good opponent, like you mentioned. But their defense gave up 391 yards passing, only 142 yards on the ground. Is that, in fact, your game planning at all, or are you guys just going to stick with what you do and what you want to get down out on the field?
We're going to stick with what we like to do and what we think are going to be the best things for our players. I guess you never really look at the run-pass split. At least I don't in game planning. You have to look at who their personnel is, what their schemes are, and what we think in each phase of the game gives us the best chance to be successful.
And I'm assuming the same thing is on the flip side of the ball as well. They were kind of a 3-to-1 pass versus run, but they got a veteran quarterback as well in Seth Cosme. Anything that you want to change up with the defense, or just kind of model that second half and replicate that throughout the season?
I would say that 3-to-1 pass to run would be out of character for them. I think it's probably because they were chasing the game just a little bit from a score standpoint. Their first game was very similar to last year. And remember, we played them next to last game.
Yeah.
So we're playing them like 2 out of 3 games.
Right.
And the personnel changes a little bit for each team, but I think we, as you allude to, I think we know each other pretty well. And I don't anticipate that they're going to throw the ball, 3-to-1 ratio to how they, to how they run this week. But we'll have to show up and see.
Well, as you mentioned, fairly recently, in terms of consecutive games that the Pirates have faced the Bulldogs, the 11th meeting, the series is tied 5-5. Sometimes occasional conference rivals, but last year they snuck out a 21-17 win on, I think, one of the final, next to last play of the game on a 1-yard plunge to take the win. How much does that stick in the craw of the guys that are back and remember that game?
Probably a lot. I mean, we led the whole game. We did everything but win. We had a chance to put the game away. We had the ball, 4th and goal at the 5-yard line. We went for it, thinking that we're either going to score, be up 2 scores, or they're going to have to go 95 yards.
Right.
Didn't anticipate throwing an interception, so they only had to go 80 yards, and so that made it a little bit easier for them. To their credit, they finished with a really good drive, their best drive of the game. But I would say that we were definitely disappointed that we let that one get away, having led pretty much the whole game, if not the whole game. I'm not sure that we were behind. I'd have to go back and look. I've watched the film, but I didn't really track the scoring. If we were behind, it wasn't very much in that game.
I don't remember being behind.
Yeah, it wasn't very much, if anything. So we want to, obviously you want to play with the lead again, and when we get a chance, we want to try to finish it off if we're fortunate enough to be in that situation.
Well, they stay with the ASC. Pirates have moved to the SAA. Trinity is in the SAA, so you guys have kind of rotated around each other like a couple of planets in the solar system. Which one's a bigger rivalry now, TLU or Trinity, or does it matter? You just want to beat both of them?
I think that depends on who you ask. I think if you were to ask Southwestern in general, they're going to say Trinity. I think if you ask our coaches, that have been here since the beginning, I think they're probably going to say Trinity, but I'd say Trinity and TLU are both right up there. And
right.
If you ask our players that have been playing lately, I think they're going to say TLU because they haven't played Trinity yet. But it's kind of 1A and 1B. As you mentioned, we played TLU every season. It's a very close rivalry. A lot of really good games back and forth.
And so twice a couple of years, right? And when you were doing the rotating thing, were they?
We did early on. We did early on. So it's a really important rivalry, and it's going to stay. They're on our schedule for at least the next 3 years. If their head coach remains the same and their athletic director remains the same, I'm sure it'll go even beyond that because it just makes so much sense. Where it's a geographical rival. I know geographical rivalries don't matter anymore in college football, I guess, but maybe in this case we can actually keep a geographical rival even though conferences have changed. I think it just makes a lot of sense for both teams to play and continue the rivalry.
I actually do think that the local rivalries do matter. I'm glad that you're playing both of those teams because I think that's something that Division I college football is kind of losing.
Yeah, they certainly are, but that's a soapbox for another day, right?
Yes, it is, yeah. Somebody asked me about that. To ask you your thoughts on that. Well, we'll save that maybe for the bye week or
Okay.
something like that. Talk about the pep rally coming up. We played the commercial that you sent a couple of times, but we got a graphic here to throw up on the screen. Talk about the pep rally coming up, home opener coming up on Saturday night.
Yes, so this will be our second annual pep rally. Before our first home game, it's going to be at 7:30 outside of the football building at Southwestern, and we're doing it there because that's where the stadium's going.
Right.
And we got to get everyone used to coming to that location for football stuff, for football games, football events. So there's going to be a T-shirt station. There's going to be a game for Southwestern students. Throwing the football game like a Dr. Pepper can game. They're going to give away $750 in prizes. We're going to do a raffle for a big screen TV. You're going to get to meet all the players, introduce all the starters. The pep band's going to perform. The cheer and pump squad's going to perform. Just your typical pep rally.
Right.
Getting everybody excited for the first home game. And it'll be nice and cool because we're waiting until the sun's going down. And when the sun goes down at 8, it's going to really be a fun evening for everybody.
Yeah,
And if you do come, you're going to get if you sign up for the event, scan the QR code, you're going to get emailed a complimentary ticket for the game the next day. I don't want to leave that detail out.
There you go. We always like to talk about events that are happening in conjunction with the game. That's the pep rally before the game. But are there any special events coming up at the stadium during the game? Groups that you're honoring or anything like that?
I don't think so. I mean, the first home game's kind of an event all into its own, and so tailgating will be going. The team parade is always 2 hours before. We always park at the back of the tailgating section, come right down through the row where our parents typically stage. That's always a fun event. Our cheer team will be leading us through there. Drums from the pep band will be leading us through. Always a good time with that.
Well, the heat is back. We're back up over 100 degrees, but it is a night game. It's the only night game on the schedule at
It's
home,
only night
correct?
game, yeah.
Yeah.
Be a lot more day games because of the travel in the new conference.
Right.
It's a lot harder for teams to play at night.
So any final thoughts with Texas Lutheran coming to town on Saturday night?
I just say we're hoping to pick up where we left off and play like we played in the third and fourth quarters of the game at Cal-Lu. And if we can do that and make improvements, we'll be good. Both teams are going to be better. The improvement that teams make between their first two games is always huge. And so I'm sure both teams will play better than they played the week before. Hopefully we can be the group that makes the biggest improvement.
Well, we will find out. Pirates versus Texas Lutheran Saturday night at 7 o'clock from Burkebach Field. 7 o'clock, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's what I thought.
That's when I'll be there.
Yeah, they're not going to start without him. So 7 o'clock from Burkebach Field inside the Georgetown ISD Athletic Complex. It'll be our first Pirates broadcast of the season here on Vype. We're just doing the home games this year, so we'll be shaking off the cobwebs as well, but we'll be on the air at around 6:30, 6:45, somewhere in that neck of the woods with the pregame show on Vype.com. And you can also find the link on the football schedule at southwesternpirates.com. So we'll be back with you from Jack's Lounge a week from tonight, every Monday night throughout the course of the season at 6 o'clock for our next edition of SU Football Weekly here on Vype as well. Thank you to our guests tonight, Jason Lenn and Colby Bartlett. Our producer, Jack Farrell. Nice job, Jack. Chuck Tracy with Tracy's Corner. Our QA, my better half, Christina Weber-Bertrand. Our technical director, Suna Venkot. Of course, Coach Austin and all you folks for coming out and everybody that tuned in tonight on the broadcast. Have a great week, and we'll see you for home football Friday or Saturday night right here on the Vype Live Network. Pirates against TLU coming up Saturday night. Good night, everybody.
Remember to the end, that a fight will never die. Pirates fight, yeah we win. Ay. Pirates fight, to the end. Whoa. Pirates fight, yeah.
You were invited to the Pirate Football Pep Rally, Friday, September 8th, 7:30 p.m. at the football facility on campus. Meet the team, interact with student organizations and corporate partners, featuring performances by the Cheer and Pom Squad and Pep Band. Best of all, when you scan the QR code at the event, you'll be sent a free ticket for the next day's home opener against Texas Lutheran. See you on September 8th for the Pirate Pep Rally.